When we feel anxious, we want to do just about anything to feel better, even if it's only temporary. One really common thing we do is avoid things that feel like a threat. Of course, we all avoid things sometimes. Who wants to feel anxious? The problem is, though avoidance works in the short term, there's a hidden cost that we often don't know about. The more we avoid, the more likely it is that our anxiety is going to grow over time. So even though we save ourselves a little bit of anxiety in the short term, we buy ourselves so much more anxiety over time. It's not just situations we avoid. We also avoid our own scary thoughts. Of course, we're human. If we have a thought that scares us, of course we want to get rid of it. The problem is, the harder we try to get rid of it, the more likely it is that that thought's going to come back with greater intensity and frequency. It's kind of like a beach ball. If you've ever tried to push it underwater, you can try really, really hard, but sooner or later it's going to come back up and usually splash us in the face.
When Emily was born, I kept on getting thoughts of her getting hurt. It was so awful to have these disturbing images just sort of pop into my head. I tried so hard to push them away, just get rid of them. But it was like no matter how hard I tried, they seemed to keep coming back and getting stuck in my head.
So what can we do instead? One thing we can do is think of the scary thoughts as brain spam and learn not to buy into them. They're just thoughts. It doesn't mean it's true or likely to happen. So if we have a scary thought, we can just notice it. We can label it for what it is, just a thought. Give it some space. Try not to fight it. Just keep on doing whatever important thing that we were doing before. In this way, the scary thoughts really lose their steam over time. It can also be helpful to remember that anxiety is all about overestimating the level of threat and underestimating our ability to cope. Our brain is wonderful of coming up with creative ways that things can go wrong. But just because we think it doesn't make it so. We always need to remind ourselves that thoughts aren't facts. So it's really important to come up with a way of estimating the level of threat that's not so biased by our anxious mind. One, we can really think objectively, how likely is it that this feared event is going to happen? And two, even if it did happen, how bad would it be? And then we can brainstorm ways that we can cope. And three, we always want to remind ourselves of what it would be like if we kept on listening to our anxiety.
My husband thought it would be good for me to get out and talk to other mums, but I really didn't want to go to the new mums group. I just kept imagining myself saying something wrong or stupid about babies or parenting or something, and the other mums would judge me. But I was eventually able to get myself to think how likely this would be. I had met some of the mums already that were going to be at the group, and they were really nice and real. I also realized that it probably wouldn't be the end of the world if I did say something wrong or weird or something that not everybody agreed with. We're also totally sleep deprived anyway. They probably wouldn't even notice. Well, it could happen to anyone. And I was feeling so totally cooped up in the house. I really missed talking to other adults. So I ended up going, and it was totally fine.